Please note the disclaimer. You know, my recent drought of videos, along with the time I've spent revamping my avatar and reconfiguring my life, gave me some pause for reflection. And on reflection, my audience might not know jack about me. Aside from the fact that I like CTR, there's not much anybody knows about my preferences in video games. So why not solve the problem by making a top 10 list?
Done!
Well, okay, look, I know top 10s aren't exactly the most original idea, but it's an easy way to get chunks of information across that involve personal preference. And besides, they're pretty easy to make and can give you, the viewer, an idea of what kind of YouTuber I am and what to expect in the future. Now, how's this list going to work? Well, these will be my top 10 favorite video games of all time, with 10 being my least liked and number 1 being my absolute favorite. As for rules, I can only choose games that I've played personally. I will only choose one game per franchise. I cannot give games grandfather clauses, or basically say that this one was first or revolutionary, so it gets the spot. I have to like an earlier installment legitimately in order for it to make the list. Also, to make this list even more interesting, I'm going to be removing my obvious number 1 pick of CTR from the list. Other than that, anything's fair game. So here are my top 10 favorite games of all time, other than CTR. I will admit, when it comes to Radical Entertainment, I have a bit of a chip on my shoulder. On the one hand, they created 2 of the games on this very list and have a very good track record. On the other hand, they've also created my 2 biggest migraines. I think it was a testament to what kind of development team Radical was that some of their best games were licensed titles that were written out of studio by the original creators of that property. This development cycle created one of the best licensed titles ever. Do I need to explain why this game is incredible? The gameplay is fun, the variety of vehicles is simply massive, the driving physics work well with the level design, and the writing, the writing!
I know you! You're the kid that sells me bootleg CDs on the street corner.
Yeah, well, I've been having some legal problems lately, so I'm stuck running these races for the DMV. It was this or read to the elderly.
Unlike other Simpsons games, Hit and Run actually involved the Simpsons writing staff, which means it starts off dealing with scenarios that one might actually see in the show. Homer going about his day, Bart trying to get his hands on a video game that's constantly out of his reach, but then suddenly going missing and being involved in a huge mystery which also involves strange WASP cameras and surveillance vans. The humor never stops, the references to the show's history are many, the collectibles are stuff like gags and trading cards referencing specific episodes. The sheer amount of stuff that The Simpsons Hit and Run jam-packs into its 7 levels is nothing short of awe-inspiring, and any big-time fan of The Simpsons will also be left speechless as to how Hit and Run portrays Springfield.
How could you hooligans steal an old man's medication? You give it back right now!
Oh, we traded it to some dudes in a black car for these play dudes? Check it out, man. This one's got an interview with the guy who invented the wah-wah pedal.
Is that my escort? It's time to get down with the clown.
That being said, it's not as if this game doesn't have its problems. While the physics work well most of the time, jumping off ramps can be weird, and the difficulty spikes in the last level of the game, going from slightly challenging to clusterfuck, including a final mission that might be one of the most unfair challenges I've ever beaten. The game also has a few mission structures it recycles, but the levels are good enough to keep that interesting. Overall, The Simpsons Hit and Run is the licensed Simpsons game that you have to play. When it comes to getting your mileage from a video game, nothing does better than replay value. The ability to play a game over and over again without it getting boring is a lot better for a game's longevity than just jam-packing the main campaign full of stuff. Better a game you play over and over again than one that's a one-and-done affair. This is exactly the job of the roguelike. In a roguelike, the job of the player is still to get to the end of the game, but the path to the end of the game changes each time and thus makes every playthrough interesting, since you're essentially never playing the same game twice. The levels, the enemies, even the playable character can change radically from run to run depending on sheer luck sometimes, and you already see where this is going. What can I say? McMillan had a great idea. Take Zelda's dungeons, combine them with a twin-stick shooter, make it a roguelike with random dungeon elements, and make the story about a small naked child trying to escape from his infanticidal mother by hiding in the basement and fighting off grotesque monsters made of flesh, flies, spiders, and feces.
I
don't know what feces are, but they smell like crap!
The Binding of Isaac is a trip and a half that changes and expands every time you play, and depending on the run you get, the game can be either a cakewalk or a kick in the balls. And as you win each game, more items, characters, rooms, and bosses unlock, as we get glimpses into Isaac's life and just how much it sucks. Orphan Annie had it better than this kid. The sheer amount of stuff that you can do and find in The Binding of Isaac makes it a game that really can't be topped in terms of replay value. There are bombable walls which lead to hidden rooms, endings that can only be reached if you reach a certain point fast enough, bosses that can only be played by holding a specific item, items that can only appear after beating a certain boss a certain number of times, over and over again, characters that shake up gameplay entirely, items that increase health or shot speed, items that make you an unkillable god, mod support, blood lasers, dead babies. This game is a treasure trove of awesome items and crippling depression. Buy it once and you'll be playing it for years, and the game is still being updated to this day. How's that for support? If variety is the spice of life, The Binding of Isaac is the carne asada burrito with extra jalapeno among them. That's some good mouth burn. I think Sonic the Hedgehog gets a bad rep these days. It's everywhere online. Go to any page that involves Sonic and the discussion will eventually devolve into Sonic, gotta go fast, yeah, chili dogs, way past, cool! Ugh. A part of this is Sonic Team's unfortunate decision to root Sonic's personality into an era that, while most people look upon back with fondness, is not smiled upon with regards to its obsession with being hip and cool. And while I can definitely point fingers at certain online communities and internet personalities for not letting this damn joke go, I can also look past the internet's depiction of the famous blue blur and see that there's potential for a quality title underneath all of the memes. Speaking of... That's some good pandering. To me, Sonic Generations is the ultimate combination of what makes a Sonic game good. And while it's an anniversary title that panders to the Sonic fandom, I feel that it was this very aim that caused Generations to pull the best gameplay elements from those titles in the form of its two main characters, Classic Sonic and Modern Sonic. Classic Sonic is a depiction of Sonic's past, as a much simpler Sonic that focuses on more rudimentary platforming elements rather than blinding speeds. Meanwhile, Modern Sonic exemplifies the best amalgamation of the 3D Sonic formula, the Boost System. Sonic Generations pulls off the Boost System very well in my opinion, and is where I thought that the jumping off point for the series should be. Then Lost World happened and everything sucked again. Hey, Sega, have you heard the term, if it ain't broke, don't fix it? Of course not. Blazing through levels at breakneck speeds is unbelievably exhilarating and is incredibly fun in this game. In fact, it's the Modern Sonic levels that I find myself coming back to over and over again, just to improve my time or see if there was a path I missed. Hitting homing attack chains, boosting through enemies, and even just timing your jumps correctly to keep the flow going is incredibly satisfying. Playing through Sonic Generations gives me a similar feeling to playing through CTR. Reaching the end of a stage and noticing that I improved my time and rank puts a smile on my face. And when it all comes together in the perfect run, only one saying sums it up. Nailed it. Getting angry is something we all deal with. Other people, the stress of surviving, accidents we can't change, noises, demands, pain, and when all that stress builds up, it has to go somewhere. While most people can do deep breathing exercises, stretching, and workouts, sometimes life is just too much and you can't take it. You gotta break something. There are a few things more cathartic than destruction. Dealing with annoying, self-centered customers at work? Grab a tire iron and go to town on some dingy electronics. You'll be surprised at how good you feel afterward. For those who wish not to do actual property damage and avoid pissing someone else off, video games have got you covered. From blowing things up to punching a digital boxer until he's blue in the face. And who better to work through your rage than a character who's rage incarnate? Yes, please! This is what destructive dreams are made of. Explosions, shrapnel, and crunchy crunch with a side of invincible beef. Where's a tenderizer when you need it? The Incredible Hulk Ultimate Destruction is exactly what it says on the box. The near limitless power of the not-so-jolly green giant in the palm of your hand. An incredibly fluid combat system compounded with the fact that you're the damn Hulk makes this game a visceral experience. Everything is a weapon, and if it's not, well, now it is. Beat your enemies senseless, throw stuff at them, launch at them at full speed, punch earthquakes, surf a bus! How is this not the greatest feeling of catharsis? The game is almost perfect, but if there's one thing that this game does to get on your nerves, it's freaking difficult! There are collectibles in the game which give you cheat codes such as double damage and double health pickups. And you're gonna need them. The end game will kick your ass and drive you up a wall. A bit fitting considering who the Hulk is. One of the best aspects of video games is their fictional nature. Just like a storybook or TV show, anything can have plans. Want to go explore a fantasy realm at your leisure, become a criminal kingpin, play Space Hero, or be the best there ever was? Most games have got you covered. The ability to interact with the world freed from our dull reality without the hindrance of limits is what makes these pastimes so endearing. If only for a few fleeting moments, you're something that you're not. But sometimes it pays to bring that imagination to a place of familiarity. Don't complicate things, you'll hurt yourself. Is it worth it to play an undying mythical being if controlling said being is more complicated than a Rubik's Cube? I think not. Hey, I paid $140 price tag for this, it counts! Rooted in the tried and true formula of the Collectathon platformer where plumbers, monkeys, and bear birds have tread before, Spyro is a unique take on a radical concept. When you think of dragons, we often think of giant leviathans rampaging around like they're Godzilla with wings. Spyro takes a step down from all that and puts things into perspective. Yeah, you're a dragon, but you're also a kid. Breathe fire, glide, and charge all you want, you won't be devastating any dwarves anytime soon. Instead, our plucky purple hero must challenge the insurmountable odds to accomplish his goal. You ain't no alpha predator, man. Taking this mythical beast in bite-sized chunks automatically helps more than it hinders. So you're not a rampaging winged iguana, who cares? But what separates the purple punk from his contemporaries is the worlds that he must venture through. Each one feeling like an actual place rather than a collection of platforms to jump on. From the Dragon Realms and how the dragons live, to the residents of Avalar trying to go about their daily lives, to the Forgotten Worlds attempting to fight off the influence of the evil sorceress. These worlds feel lived in, and you feel like you have an impact. And this all comes together in a package that wraps itself up and delivers happy. Rudimentary, you say? It's just a platformer, you say? How's Lair doing? Yeah, that's what I thought. Let's take a second to slow down a bit. Most of, if not all of, the previous entries on this list had a bit of action to them, but I'm no adrenaline junkie, at least not completely. Sometimes it feels good to slow down and figure things out, to look at things from a different perspective. Not every game needs to be some high-action thrill ride. I may not look it, but I do like a good story. I said a good story! And while RPGs ain't exactly my cup of tea, point and clicks are. There's something to be said about taking everything around you in and using information you've gathered to press forward. That final eureka moment will always stick out in your mind. Even more so if the entire world you inhabit makes no damn sense. Let me let you in on something about me. I've always wanted to be a detective, but was never interested in going through with it. Mostly because I had a romanticized idea of what mystery solving was, and when I found out what being a forensic scientist was actually like, I noped the fuck out of there. Guess that's why I like Sam and Max so much. That and it's hilarious.
You must be the freelance police.
Yes, but don't go blabbing it to everybody.
I think he's kind of cute, Sam. Can I make a tennis racket out of him?
Want me to like something? Make sure it's got a good sense of humor and I'm there. From beginning to end, Hit the Road is an enjoyable ride of nonsensical mystery solving and aimless comedy hijinks, and I love every second of it. Top tier puzzle solving combined with the often insane world of Sam and Max, and you will feel like a genius when you figure everything out. The plot is simple: explore the roadside attractions of America in pursuit of a missing Bigfoot and giraffe lady who escaped from a carnival sideshow, and it only makes less sense from there. And it really feels like a road trip, with every single attraction having a cheesy stop-and-look-at-me vibe. If you've ever been on an actual road trip around America, especially on the West Coast, you know what I'm talking about.
I wish this game were over. Hold it. Get back here. We're dealing with a very literal well here.
Did I mention this game is funny? I think that's kind of important. Space. The final frontier. Many of us here on Terra Firma have often looked up in the sky and wondered, what's out there? The mysteries of the great unknown have fascinated us for years, and we aren't short of speculation. advanced alien civilization, monstrous beasts seeking nothing but destruction, and alien worlds teeming with the weirdest life out there. It makes one wonder, what if I were in space? What if I had the chance to leave this petty space rock I call Earth? Would I settle down on an alien world? Explore to my heart's content? Ravage and pillage like the pirate I am? Or maybe, just maybe, become the hero I never could on Earth? Me, personally? I'm gonna do whatever the hell I want! In Starbound, you get to do just that. After a brief tutorial featuring Earth getting hentai'd to death, you're thrust onto an alien planet, your ship is damaged, and you need supplies. What you do next is entirely up to you. You could follow the plot and get your ship fixed and try to stop the ancient evil that basically bad-touched your planet into oblivion. Or you could start a farm, build a house, and live on that one planet for good. At the risk of sounding cliché, it's like Skyrim, only instead of a huge open-world map, you have a literal infinite number of randomly generated planets to explore at your leisure. Jungle planets, desert planets, dark planets, toxic planets, lava planets, snow planets, secret laboratories, advanced Japanese underwater cities, tribal plant people, Big Kong is watching, religious temples. The variety is almost non-stop. Hire a crew and go exploring. Join a police force. Be a bounty hunter. Stop a cult. Go after bandits. Mine, craft, whatever the hell you want, it's yours. Not to mention all the cool stuff you can get from your basic swords to laser blasters to even a mech suit. The universe is your oyster, now go out and enjoy. You knew he had to be in here somewhere. If I counted the Spyro Reignited trilogy as one game, what makes you think I wouldn't count this? I believe that this might be a controversial pick, given how some die-hard Crash fans think of this game as an ultimately inferior product. But screw it, I love the Insane trilogy, and no amount of fanboy whining is gonna change my mind. Does it have problems? Sure, what doesn't? But the good definitely outweighs the bad here. The presentation is top-notch, with animations being stretchy and bouncy. Vicarious Visions definitely nailed bringing the personality of Crash Bandicoot to the modern era. The PS4's processing power bringing detail to what were once blocky polygons with textures on them. There are great improvements to spare here, especially when on the PC running at 60 FPS, and it's all packaged with the gameplay I remember from my childhood days. From the easy hallway running of the early stages to the absolutely pulse-pounding difficulty of the later stages. What helps is that Vicarious Visions had the gift of hindsight while developing the game, especially since the first game is no longer such a damn chore. The control style is now the same over all three games, so there's no need to adjust my playstyle when going through each one. To me, the Insane trilogy just feels more comfortable. That I'm just having my childhood's back for another round. Racing is my self-proclaimed favorite genre, so one might wonder why more racing games aren't on this list. That's because racing games are something you have to get right. If anything about the driving is off, if the physics aren't quite right, if the racing is just uninteresting, the entire game is ruined. And this is why it's so hard to compete in the racing genre. It's not about doing something unique, it's about doing it well. That being said, it doesn't hurt to try and shake things up. Sometimes all it takes is adding weaponry. Being able to take opponents out of your way is a great way to keep things interesting. It's how Mario Kart's done it all these years, and why titles like Jak X Combat Racing are looked so fondly upon. And sometimes you don't need weapons or fancy items to show your opponent where they can stuff it. Sometimes you just need to shove them out of your way. Preferably into something. The Burnout series has always been about taking risks in order to earn boost, and this is amplified in Burnout 3, which not only emphasizes taking risks, but flat out putting your opponents into the wall! Or car, or truck, or van, or whatever's lying around. Taking out an opponent like this immediately lengthens and fills your boost meter, not to mention slowing down your opponent. This makes every encounter with another driver an intense battle, as this is more complicated than pressing a button and watching him go boom. Every time you try and take out an opponent, you're putting yourself in the line of fire, as your opponent can easily turn the tables with one well-placed maneuver. Victory is not guaranteed at any time, and it's going to take major amounts of skill to ram your opponents off the road without doing the scrapyard pirouette yourself. There's nothing more satisfying than battling with an opponent for a long stretch of race only to plow him into a bus. This is backed up by some of the cleanest driving in any video game. Your car feels like it has weight to it, and though it may respond to your actions under normal circumstances, all it takes is one well-placed nudge to throw you off course. And if that's not insane enough for you, there's an entire mode dedicated to crashing into an intersection and racking up as much damage as possible. welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for a confession. Despite all the fanfare I give to the spinning marsupial of the brain-addled variety, it's actually not my favorite franchise. That distinction belongs to Nintendo's cutesy, cuddly little ball of devastation, Kirby. There's just something about the Kirby franchise that makes it so endearing. Truthfully, I could put any Kirby game on this list and it'd make sense. There really are no bad Kirby games. It's a series that constantly does everything right, and what other series can you say that about? Even Mario has had its stinkers. Not Kirby, though. And what better way to solidify this list than with the magnum opus to end all magnum opuses? You know what sucks? Not having a 3DS capture card because you'd have an old 3DS XL and can't find a capture card built for that system. To me, Kirby Triple Deluxe is the perfect game to demonstrate just what Kirby is all about. The happy, cheering opening stages, the sheer variety of copy abilities at your disposal, the fun of slaughtering everything around you. It's simple, it's fun, it's Kirby. But underneath the surface of smiles and hugs, something sinister looms. A dark, tragic tale of vanity, greed, and an act of love gone horribly wrong. A twisted fiend from an alternate reality corrupting the mind of a once pure, innocent woman, subjugation of an entire populace by a ruthless dictator, and our two protagonists, Kirby and King Dedede, at the center of it all. I'm not going to spoil any more, but when people say that Kirby rivals the lore of Dark Souls, they mean it! What's more is that this fun and accessible exterior with a dark, sinister interior is par for the course when it comes to Kirby. Experimenting with all of the copy abilities is fun, playing the sub-games is a nice distraction, and playing through DDD Tour Extra Mode may provide more story and fun to spare. But ultimately, Triple Deluxe is a tragedy that can hit right at home. All of this combined makes a game that's, for me, unforgettable. No game has made me feel a wider range of emotions, and those that have tried failed. And all of these emotions come from a game character that looks like this? I guess that's what makes Kirby so special. He both plays your expectations straight and subverts them. He has easier titles which are a breeze to get through and are newcomer friendly, but deep down there is challenge, sorrow, fear, and surprisingly a lot of heart behind that adorable smile. In a lot of ways, Kirby reminds me of myself. I may appear happy and smiley, but deep down I'm a complex person with complex emotions. If you hit me, I feel pain. If you prick me, I bleed. If you tickle me, I laugh. In that way, Kirby reminds me I'm human, and just because sorrow and fear exist doesn't mean that I can't have fun. Thank you, Kirby. Thank you. Thanks for watching. If you like what you saw, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell for notifications. It'll take you 2 seconds and can only benefit you. Also, go follow my Twitter because I post there a lot. Thanks, and see you next time.